We build our lives around the idea of a safe zone. We use miles of open road or inches of reinforced steel to put a hard boundary between ourselves and the unpredictability of the outside world. When we want peace, we usually seek out one of two extremes. We either retreat deep into the untouched wilderness to escape people entirely, or we lock ourselves behind the heavy doors of our own homes, trusting the walls to keep the chaos out. But those boundaries rely heavily on a silent collective agreement. The system only works if everyone agrees to respect the physical limits we set. When someone decides to ignore that social contract, the very things we use to protect ourselves are easily turned against us. This geometric breakdown illustrates the concept of geographic vulnerability. Human predators calculate the exact physical conditions of a target. They look at the weather, the thickness of a door, and the precise distance to the nearest potential rescuer before making a move. The most terrifying moments rarely involve anything paranormal. True terror is the sudden, visceral realization that someone has breached your carefully constructed isolation, and that no one is physically capable of reaching you in time. Out in the wild, space feels like freedom. In reality, it provides an aggressive tactical advantage to anyone hunting you. The sheer volume of open land creates an acoustic and visual shield, absorbing sound and hiding movement. Take the case of a freelance land surveyor working a winter contract in the Clearwater region of Idaho. He was camped 6 miles deep into the forest during an unexpected snowstorm. While navigating an icy slope, he slipped and severely sprained his ankle, immediately losing his ability to walk normally, let alone run. As he slowly limped back toward his camp, he noticed a fresh set of boot tracks joining the trail. Then he heard the metallic clink of equipment moving through the dense trees. When he looked to his left, saw a new set of footprints running perfectly parallel to his own. Someone was pacing him through the tree line, fully aware that he was entirely defenseless. That loss of mobility becomes even deadlier when you add extreme weather. An Alaskan wilderness guide was navigating a multi-day snowmobile trip with her partner when a massive blizzard hit. Her partner's snowmobile rolled, brutally breaking his leg. With no way to transport a 220-pound man through deep snow, she had to leave him behind to search for an emergency radio. She eventually spotted smoke and found a small, uncharted cabin. Inside, there was a warm fire, but no one was home. On a shelf, she found a map circling the exact public cabins she and her partner had used, alongside a notebook filled with detailed descriptions of people moving through the area. As she turned to leave, a woman screamed from directly beneath the floorboards. The entire cabin was a trap designed to lure stranded travelers. This map illustrates how environments neutralize a victim's options. The time for an SOS signal to reach authorities is vastly outpaced by a local predator. Add an injury, and your physical escape radius collapses to zero. The landscape becomes the walls of a cage. Space does not protect you when you are alone. In the wild, vastness is actively weaponized by those who know how to use it, ensuring that your isolation is the exact tool used to destroy you. Returning to civilization offers a false sense of relief. We trade the open expanse of the woods for the tightly clustered streets of a neighborhood, assuming that our homes serve as the ultimate impenetrable safe zone. This cross-section of a standard deadbolt illustrates how we place an enormous amount of faith in superficial barriers.
They offer only a fraction of an inch of metal housed in a standard wooden frame. That hardware relies almost entirely on the social compliance of the person standing on the outside. Predators in residential areas know exactly how to test these boundaries. A freelance graphic designer living alone experienced this firsthand when a man showed up on her porch at 8:45 p.m. holding a cardboard box. He asked for a signature for a name that didn't live there, using a fake scanner device. It was a calculated Progan tactic to verify if the house was occupied and to establish her behavioral patterns. Over the next several nights, his methodology escalated. He stopped bringing the box. Soon, knocks at the front door were paired with the sound of the back door knob slowly turning, followed by the scrape of metal prying at the frame. He was systematically circling the property, testing the perimeter for structural weaknesses, while the designer hid silently inside. Even when a house is fully occupied, the layers of defense can fail.
In Oregon, a mother and her 3 young children were home alone while the father was deployed. During a torrential rainstorm, which provided heavy acoustic cover, a man in a yellow raincoat began screaming at them from their driveway. They locked the doors and hid, only to realize the mother couldn't find her cell phone. Later that night, the man returned and began violently banging the door, screaming to be let in. Despite living in a duplex right next door to other people in a tightly packed neighborhood, no neighbors heard the commotion over the rain. The family sat helplessly in a bathroom, realizing physical proximity to others does not guarantee rescue. This is the claustrophobic reality of residential terror. Out in the woods, the threat is hidden miles away in the tree line. In a house, the threat is right on your porch. The predator is mere inches away from you, separated by nothing more than a pane of glass and a thin piece of wood. The home completely flips the dynamic of the wilderness. Instead of vast space hiding the attacker, the tight layout of a house traps the victim. You are cornered against your own walls, locked in a cage of your own making. The unifying factor between an uncharted Alaskan cabin and a suburban Oregon duplex is simple mathematics. In both scenarios, the predator calculates the exact degree of the victim's isolation, measuring the distance to the nearest point of intervention. None of these accounts required complex conspiracies or supernatural entities. These attacks were executed purely through the quiet, methodical exploitation of geography, extreme weather, and silence. This web of glowing nodes represents what we call the illusion of society. We assume our safety is guaranteed by a dense, interconnected network of neighbors, law enforcement, and cellular towers. But that network instantly evaporates the moment one individual chooses to ignore the established rules of human behavior. Predators do not attack the network itself. They look for the single node that has been cut off from the rest of the grid. They find the person trapped by a blizzard, or the house with a missing phone, and they exploit that temporary blackout to strike. You have to respect the physical reality of your surroundings. If an environment feels tactically wrong, if the sightlines are broken, or the weather turns, or a stranger lingers too long at your door, you need to trust your instincts. Recognize the physical limits of your sanctuary, because ultimately, your safety, whether you are camped 6 miles deep in the snowy woods or sitting comfortably on your own couch, lasts exactly until the moment someone on the outside decides to seriously test your boundaries.